The theming engine or the theming framework that we've built for Ignite UI is quite powerful. It's baked in every component framework that we have, basically from Angular to Blazor. All of the components that we built, they use the Ignite UI theming principles, and so they're customizable using the Ignite UI theming engine and the design systems that we've built. This allows us to basically create themes in CSS and Sass, regardless, and copy or carry them over from project to project. You can copy your theme. So no matter if you create this theme for the theme that I'm going to be creating now in an Angular project or a React project, tomorrow you can decide, hey, I want to use it in my web components project or my Blazor project. You don't have to rewrite the whole thing. Just copy paste it, and it will work because under the hood, it's just Ignite UI components. And the produced code is actually fairly small. It just produces CSS variables, to be honest. The Sass part is because we have some complex logic underneath that can be used to automate, writing code a little bit better. And I'm gonna go straight to the application. This is basically a vibe coded app. None of the information here is real. It was created with components like the grid, the tabs here. You have some custom components also, like those little cards here showing some status and orders. And inside those cards, you also have the progress bar, some chips, etc., etc. It doesn't look great. I mean, it looks okay for an ERP app, but we can make it better. To my right here, I have open code opened. Right now, I'm in my theming agent, and I'm going to quickly show you what that means. It's just a markdown file that I have instructed the AI to use. And this file actually has just a couple of lines. You're an expert in Ignite UI theming, and strictly follow the theming MCP guidelines and write clean code, basically. Don't repeat yourself and don't invent new concepts. That's all I'm asking of the model. When I say agent, I'm just providing this MD to the model to work with the theming MCP a little bit better. And now I can just start by asking it to do something for me. And usually what people do is they would want to change the colors. They either want a dark theme or they want a combination of a dark theme and a light theme with a switch. So let's start with something that I like and I love. I love the purple color and I love this rose pine theme. I use it everywhere in my browser, in my code editor, in my terminal, anywhere it's available, I use it. So I want to make this application use these colors. I want it to be like my terminal, purple and beautiful and dark. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna ask it in a very simple way to take a look at my styles in the app and create a rose pine theme for it. Nothing more. I'm not going into any details. So what it will do, it will start by exploring my project. And this is a tool that's called by the theming MCP. So the theming MCP will inspect the project. We will see if you're using a licensed version of Ignite UI components. So for example, the grid we have in Angular and web components is a paid for product. So if you're using the licensed version, the theming MCP will know and it will detect and it will do the right imports from the right places. We can actually dive in and see what it's doing. It's calling 19 tools, 20 tools. What is it doing? Let's see. So it will just explore the project a little bit. It will see that we're using Angular 21.1 with server-side rendering. It will see that we have Sass in our Angular JSON, so we're using Sass. And it will also start doing stuff behind the scenes, like it will define a palette right here with also a font family, a nav drawer. You can see all of the things it's doing. This is just the exploration phase, and it's just by writing a single sentence. It's pretty awesome because right now we'll go back to actually writing code. So let's see. It assessed that we need to create a palette with the following colors, and you will see that it's now calling the create custom palette tool from the theming MCP. Um, and in a second, we should see our application after it writes the styles to the style sheet. It decided to write them too. We'll explore which one it was in a second. You will see that it's calling the tool with the platform Angular, license true, variant dark, because Rosepine by default is dark. There is a light variant as well, but I want it to be dark. And it actually decided to modify the styles. Sass, this is the entry point style sheet for the entire app. It's editing the file right now, and we can actually zoom out a little bit. We can see that if we open the styles file, let's see if it's writing anything. It's preparing, so it's not written anything in here yet. By the way, those styles are not written by me by hand. Those were generated by AI. And let's see if it did anything. It still hasn't changed anything. Let's see. I can see that there is already some pre-existing colors in here, perhaps generated before this session. I think the demo course is following me, preparing edit for too long. We'll start again if it fails. Oh no, wait. You can see that actually it's looking for the design tokens for the nav drawer right now. So the theming and the theming MCP also has the ability to introspect components, and it's not like it's going into the implementation or anything like that. It actually has information for all of the design tokens in the component themes. So we'll just query the service. We'll see, hey, okay, I now understand all of the colors that I have for the nav drawer, and hey, look at it. It created a rose pine theme that matches my terminal. Yay! Super exciting. Um, so you'll see that it actually we'll look at what's changed in the code, but you'll see something very cool. It actually extracted all of the colors from the website, from the Rosepine website, and then it created a palette. And this is quite a sophisticated palette, mind you. It decided to create every single shade, and also you will notice it's calling this adaptive contrast function. This means that if you decide to change one of the colors later on, for example, you want to tweak some of the shades, the color, the contrast color will automatically switch, which is awesome. And this is why we get this contrast here in the text. See, it's completely readable. And it's a design system. It's not hard coding anything. It's not creating new classes. It's not. Let's see actually the changes. See, it's just a single style sheet, and the modifications it made are basically just a couple of lines, the ones that we saw here. Just added the palette, replaced the palette with our new one, the rose pine palette. Let me hide the other stuff. And it also created a nav drawer theme. It didn't hallucinate any of the properties. All of them worked because the project built without an error. And then it decided, hey, by the way, let's change the body color to this RP base, which is awesome. And modify the navbar a little bit also, because it saw, hey, I have a navbar. Let's use the navbar background properties in CSS, not Sass. So it is really smart about, it has the tools to know that these exist the CSS variables as well, not just the Sass properties for the theme. And yeah, replaced just all the hard-coded colors with the colors from our newly created palette. Awesome. And if we take a look at what's in here, you will see that all of the reddish hues here are now this cute pinkish purple color. I don't know. Awesome. And then you have this the grid, and the grid is also styled perfectly with the purple and the pink and all of the inputs in this menu and all of the drop downs and the calendar and the buttons and the tabs here. So it's basically using the design system without having to override all of the styles in all components of your application. And it goes more, it can do more than that. I mean, it's beyond just creating palettes. We can do a lot more with it. So for example, I also wanna use a different font. Let me try that. Let me try, hey, I like monospaced fonts. Can you adapt my app to use one? And let's see what it does. Oops, sorry, that was my fault. So we'll read the index.html file, and he decided to use JetBrains Mono. Also, it knows that the typography consumes a font family. So hey, look, immediately the change is here. We're now using this new font family everywhere again. All components adapt, all chips, everywhere. Awesome. And even the navbar. What else can we do? Say we want to customize a single component. Let's say we want to change the grid a little bit, right? So can you make the grid header pop a bit? And see what it does with the grid on its own. So we will check the component, the grid. It will extract the design tokens, and then it will create a component theme for the grid specifically. And you will see it's just a small chunk of code here. It does not change everything. And now, hey, look, the header pops. Much better than before. Okay, so what else? We can actually change the entire design system. Right now, we're based on material. All of the components are material based, they look material. Let's try to switch it to, let's say, Fluent. Oh, before that, I know that we have the Fluent design system, but you guys may not know that we implement that. So you may wonder, okay, what else can I do? You can always ask the agent. So for example, you can say, what themes are supported in Ignite UI? And it will tell you. Let's see. So it's reading a resource right now because we have a lot of resources in the MCP, and it will tell you. You can also ask questions about differences between one design system and another one. It will give you the variables that it contains for it, et cetera, et cetera. So I can now say, hey, let's use the Fluent design system. And let's see what changes it makes. It reads the style sheet file, and it knows that it only has to replace the schema references, not everything. So you see everything became a little bit sharper, except for the cards here in the top of the application. The ones below, they're sharper, but these ones, I suppose they're a little bit hard-coded or they don't use our cards. Let me confirm that. Yep, they're just divs. So I can tell it to do something interesting. I see that there is a class alert card used here. So I can try something interesting. Can you before that, I can ask it, what are the available, I cannot spell today, tools in Ignite UI Theming, so I know what I'm capable of doing with this MCP. Okay, so I have the detect platform, we saw that. I have create theme, create palette, create custom palette, design tokens, layout and sizing. Ooh, oh, we have a brownness thingy. Okay, okay. I want to adapt this active alerts card to react to changes to roundness. So I'm gonna do that. Can you make the alert card work with the rounding system or roundness system in Ignite UI? Let's see what it does. This is something that I've never asked the model of doing, but it will now read a resource about border radius. It will change the border radius of the alert card to be reactive. It's just one property. And by the way, this 8 pixels, 0 pixels, 16 pixels means this is the default. This is the minimum it can go, and this is the maximum. So basically, 0 pixels is the minimum. And now I can just ask it, can you make the alert card square? And let's see what it does. See, it just calls set roundness on a class. And it just says radius factor 0, which is exactly a concept from our design system. And that means you can now use this as any other Ignite UI component that implements this border radius function. It just changes the roundness automatically in the entire app. Now, if I decide to make all of the components rounder, I can tell it and it will change the radius factor on an app level. And actually, this will follow. These little custom cards that we've built here, they will follow. How awesome is that? Um, what else can we do? We changed the typography, we changed the palette, we uh, created border radius. We had the sizing thing, huh? Let's try one last thing, and then I'll open the floor to you guys. But let's try the sizing thing. We have this concept of sizes, and they're implemented in a very interesting way. So I want to make the alert card also sizable. I want to be able to change the size of this card from, say, spacious with a little bit more space between the items and the title, and also just give it a little bit of a breathing room on top and bottom. So I'll just ask the model, can you make the alert card sizable? Um, I want to have a little more control over the breathing room in the card and between the items in the card. Let's see what it does. So it will read the resource about padding sizable, spacing sizable. This is all part of the theming MCP. It doesn't go to the web. It's a very small set of resources, so it doesn't waste a ton of tokens. And you'll see that now it will include the sizable mixin, define a default size, very small changes, incremental changes to the alert card, nothing major. Starts using the functions from the theming package. Actually also added a gap and some margin. And now the card is size aware. So now we can do things like sizing and spacing. Okay, what did it do? So it said component size was medium by default, so it's 16 pixels. I'm gonna ask it to exaggerate the values between small, medium, and large. So we can see the difference a bit better when we change size. And you'll see that will scale them for 1632. Awesome. And can you make the cards bigger now? Let's see what it does. Oopsie. And it just changed the size, and there we go. Now it's part of the theming system. It's using IG size, like roundness. And you didn't have to know too much. You just had to ask what tools does it have. You can ask it even more questions about the different tools like sizing, like typography, colors. It knows what colors are used in what components, what the general direction for those things should be, how to, change the colors depending on, for example, if it's a button in a date picker, it knows that it's a flat button, that it should create a flat button theme in the date picker. It has a lot of introspection when it comes to components and component themes. And also, as you could see, you can just use the theming concepts in the Ignite UI theming via the MCP without knowing too much and still achieve great results.